Okay, so the lit, it didn't pass. Not only didn't it pass, it failed pretty miserably. And there's kind of a lot for us as a community to reflect on. Um, and so first I want to give a bit of background for those who may not know as to what the lit is and why it's important. The lit is a is a 0.25% tax increase, and at the county level. And with the lit came a plan to allocate the increase in taxes. Now, originally, the lit came about as a response to the climate change protests that happened a year ago, and then it kind of changed. Its kind of intent changed as the months went on, and circumstances got different with the pandemic. It used to be, it was originally proposed as a 0.5% increase, and it was a climate tax initiative that would mostly be a plan that improved mass transit. And that's what the plan originally was when it was hashed out during the around February, I think, and then I think it was announced later in July, the changes to the plan, July of this year, and then it kind of came to the ordinance was scheduled officially, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the rest is history. It got a lot of blowback from the public when it was being, for lack of a better term, rushed, and then in kind of the end of it, it got the majority of the city council ended up voting it down, and that's the story. That's what happened in a nutshell. So I've kind of I've done a lot of takes, a fair number with this video, and I need to do other things. So I'm gonna try not to be too ambitious with explaining my take and articulating how I feel. I don't really know how to feel about whether it was for the better. Like, I think there's pros and cons of it getting turned down, and like, I think there's both pros and cons either way the vote would have resolved, I think. So I guess I'm kind of neutral as to how it should go, and I think I think neutrality, you don't want to take neutrality too much, but sometimes it's a totally valid position. You don't know, you don't necessarily have all the information in front of you, and you don't have foresight as to like how it's going to play out, and you just don't know, and there's compelling arguments on both sides. And I think one of the good things about this meeting is, I think, both kind of camps, the opposition and the support of it, kind of actually heard each other. It's in direct contrast to the meetings we had with involving public safety and involving the police budget, where there's such a huge polarization and just a huge dislike between both sides, that we're not talking with each other, we're talking kind of at each other. And in this meeting, it was very different, because I think both the people who supported it and those who opposed it I think they kind of agree on the fundamentals, and I think that's good. I have some optimism. I mean, you can only have so much optimism, that I think we'll come together and we'll come up with we'll work as a community to have a better plan next time, because I think we all realize maybe now is not the time, but sometime very, very, very soon, after this pandemic, if not before, we need to we need to have a drastic change in terms of the city's priorities, and part of that part of addressing the needs for the city, mass transit being one of many. There needs to simply be a bigger pie, and we're due for a tax increase, and we can't we have to look past the social stigma against taxes. I know taxes aren't popular; they're not comfortable to people, but we have to, and at times they can come off as inconvenient. Nobody likes a bill that that increases, but it's necessary. And I would say that when you look at taxes, I know nobody likes to hear it, but the burden of taxation and municipal taxes in particular just factually isn't a huge factor in terms of what accounts for the economic turmoil. It's rising medical costs and rising housing costs, and just rising costs of living in general, and stagnant wages that don't keep up with inflation. Those are the factors. Those are the determinants of hardship, and in addition to that, no employment. So for a huge fraction of the public. So whether this tax is happening or not, it's not going to drastically affect what people's everyday struggles are, and it's just math. That's just what the math is. You can call me, you can shame me for saying that, but that's the truth. That's the reality, and your best point back is to say that, well, what about every dollar counts, and that individual getting charged $25, that's not good, or $25 per 10K per year, that's not it's not good, and it hurts people, and sure, it does to a very limited extent, but nothing compared to the determinants I just said. It's very negligible in the equation, and that's just the truth. And the other thing is we're kind of, by talking about, because if we're framing the tax as a bill on people, of course, it's going to be seen as bad because nobody wants to pay a bill. But what about where it's spent? Because that's make it or break it. The tax does not make sense if it's just a bill and it doesn't go to anything, which is what I think the understandable complaint was with the plan. The plan doesn't it doesn't revitalize anything enough to justify it if the plan were executed as it was given. And that's ultimately why I think the LIT failed, was that the plan just that was that the community not just wanted but needed just wasn't there. But really what you have to think about, I think, is not whether the tax is a tax, because yeah, it's a bill. I get it. But what does the bill? What do the taxes do is the question. And if you're tone deaf to what taxes do and where it's prioritized, well, where do you stop in terms of in terms of railing against taxes? Do you are you going to stop at the increase, and are you not going to stop at the increase and criticize all taxes in general. There has to be consistency in that line of reasoning, or else it's not sound reasoning. And I'm, I know I get on Hamilton's case all the time about his lack of transparency, and I'm gonna get at him there. But I also have to get at some of the other politicians too on the other side, like Randy Paul, who he's the Green Party candidate, and he has my vote over Julie Thomas, any day. But if he's gonna stand for Green Party things, don't you think that don't you think that you should stick with your support for a tax increase and not use reasoning that can be used? Like, let's say that you said that you support the tax if it went towards mass transit. So are you going to use the reasoning that that like the burden of taxation is too high when you support it if it went to mass transit? Like, you got to be consistent there, and if you're consistently for environmental if for environmental policy, then you're going to have to embrace a tax increase, and you're going to have to and it's kind of important that you don't use anti-tax line of reasoning to oppose this tax. And that's my critique on that's my critique on Randy Paul, which I'm sorry to kind of out that individual, but he's a candidate, and he's a leader of the Green Party, so I think that criticism is due. And yeah, so moving forward, and this video is getting kind of long, so let me kind of conclude my rant at this, which is that we have to think about what we have to do in the future as a community, and that's just what whether this thing passed or failed, that's what we need to do. And whether you're in the city or the county, we're gonna have to be together on this as much as possible. We're not going to agree on everything, and that's fine, but we're gonna have to bring something to the table, some idea, and we're gonna have to be willing to compromise somewhat, a little bit, like something. I know it's never going to be perfect, but something's going to have to give to meet the needs that to adapt to climate change and to respond to the pandemic effectively as a municipality. And it's not enough to say that the municipality is limited. You have to the municipality has to do its part, and there's certain things that that the buck stops at the municipality. Mass transit funding being one such example, and also like a spending plan for mass transit when the money is given. So that's so we have to come together, whether you're the city or the county, and no more of this. No more of this this rugged individualism and just not meeting halfway. Both city and county need to come together and come up with something. And it takes two to tango. What can I say? And yeah. Is there? I'm trying to think if there's anything more I want to get out there. I guess there isn't. So let's just let's just continue. Let's just continue going on and hope for the best.